Yeah, I mean, immediately after, I definitely like to take some space, but I love people, man. I love getting to know people and trying to wrap my head around as many different perspectives exist in this world as I can while I'm here.
Yeah, it would look even awkward if I put a sheet over it. What the hell is that?
You're like, clearly that's a refrigerator with a sheet on it.
I mean, full disclosure here, this is a sheet behind me.
Aha.
The question
I'm
is,
in a basement.
what's behind the sheet?
We both bought a green screen sheet, and it was like $14 and didn't do the trick.
Because we spent $14 on a green screen.
Well, you get what you pay for it, and I think we understand that now.
Bro, like that was a waste of money.
Well, I mean, you're clearly floating in space, so something worked.
Right.
Oh, check this out. So,
But there's no green screen behind that. It's insane. How does you make that work? It looks so bad when I do it.
I don't know, because my computer is amazing. Apparently.
Oh yeah,
Check this out.
my Mac's too old, so I can't do that.
Whoa, hold on. Wait. Oh, I was doing it earlier.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore. You're on. Well, now you're on the spot. It's now that it's recording.
What? That's bullshit.
It was cool. It was cool earlier, but it's not
My
cool
face
anymore.
was space essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice, I see
There
it.
we go.
Okay, if you can do the whole thing like that, that'd be entertaining.
I'm like, all right, let's talk this out. Let's go.
But anyway, Nico, thanks so much for coming on here. We talked briefly. I'm Derek, and this is Steve. He's the bass player in the band, the Cosmic Vultures. I'm the vocalist. We checked out your music, and we can't wait to talk about it. But for starters, COVID-19, how is that affecting you right now musically, and with anything else you're doing?
So musically, I mean, I could give you the quick story. In March, I was set to start recording a solo record that I was writing and recording very quickly. My whole plan with the project was to just like condense it into a month writing, a month recording and producing, and then fingers crossed a month mixing. I mix my own stuff and end up being a perfectionist and being crazy and taking forever. But so I was gearing up to do that. I also have a new project that I was working with. We just recorded a 4-song EP in January, and we were getting ready to put that out and start playing some shows as a band and launch a whole new project. So that all got put on pause, and now we're starting to rethink how we're going to put these things out there. And on top of that, I'm a full-time freelancer. So I gig for a living. All of that has stopped. I'm very thankful that they opened up unemployment to self-employed, because otherwise, there'd be nothing I could do right now. I'd have to find a new skill set.
Right. That's
How
huge.
about you guys?
I just got the call today. Back in April, they furloughed me. I work in the dental field in a warehouse, and they told us that we were going to be furloughed until the end of June. And now it's mid-June, and they called me today, and they're like, yeah, we're pushing that back to August 28th. So yeah, I'm going to be sitting here I told my family, and all of them said the same thing. They're like, enjoy your summer. I was like, I guess so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, same here. My work is different. It's just we're taking it week every Sunday. I just find out if we're going back to work or not. So every Sunday it's like, all right, file again. So like, okay. So I'm just on a week-to-week basis because I'm in the service industry. So it's because we deal with restaurants, but restaurants have been closed, so it's kind of weird. So I don't know. There's not a lot of work right now, so we've just been filing for employment. See how it goes, I guess. But I just kind of week to week, I find out if we're going back to work or not. And so far, it's just been my boss.
That's awful. They should just tell you straight up, like, for the next month, you should be good. You know what I mean? Because now you get every Sunday, you're like, is this the week I go back?
Exactly. So.
Yeah, I would hate that.
Well, yeah, we've been trying to make the most of it. Our completely 100% original idea of starting a podcast, which nobody else is doing. Literally.
I'd never heard of it.
I'm surprised no one else is doing this. Like, this is crazy.
When I ordered this mic from Sweetwater, I called him and I was like, yeah, I want to order this mic. And he's like, yeah, it's going to be like a 2-week, 3-week wait. We haven't got them yet. And I was like, what are you talking about? I have to do this podcast. And he's like, do you think you're the only one starting a podcast right now? And I was like, okay, touche.
Literally, the whole world is doing podcasts.
I bought a webcam because the only thing I could do to gig was to start streaming.
Right.
And, my girlfriend Emily and I performed together. And when we talked about it, like, she's a videographer by trade. And we talked about it when it started. We were doing the streams together, and at a certain point she was like, I'll do these every once in a while, but I don't know like how much I love doing the streaming thing. And I was just like, man, this is my only outlet right now.
Yeah. Are you doing like the GoFundMe thing too, so people can like drop in some tips and stuff?
Yeah, I have like my Venmo and stuff. And I bought a webcam to start getting my stream to look nicer and everything. And when I went to go buy the webcam, everywhere was sold out. I bought it off eBay. I had to pay more money than they cost brand new. And those are what the options were.
Right. Yep.
So it's crazy.
High demand right now for sure.
Oh yeah. The stock in Logitech. And did you buy a Rode? Is that the mic you got?
Yeah. I just got a Rode. Well, it's mainly for recording, but I figured I'll use it for the podcast too. But yeah, it's the Rode, and yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I have one too. That's a really good mic.
Yeah,
good,
man.
Home recording and stuff. Super clear. Good stuff.
I was going to ask you about the female accompaniment on your album, and now I'm assuming that is Emily.
Yeah. And,
okay, excellent. Yeah.
And that's the new project that has started. The two of us write together. We tour as a duo a lot, and it took a while, but we now have a band that is regular players. It was a long time where I was a singer-songwriter in Boston. I'd have different band members every show. The lead guitar player has been the same guy since I moved back to Boston. And, it took a few years, but we finally ended up feeling like, all right, we got a group of players right here, and like, we're working together as a team. So we just started to shift the writing process so that it's not so much I'm like, here's a complete song. This is what I want you to play. We'll go in with a part, or two of us will write a song together. 3 of us will write a song together. So yeah.
Gotcha. So we're going to get into this album very soon, but what I would just say, like, who do you think in general are your biggest influences in music? Like, when you listen to a band and like, I got to go write a song because they influenced me. Like, well, who do you think would be like your top 3 or whatever?
Do you want like what period of my life do you want?
Oh man, that's a tough. I don't know. Maybe overall, if possible.
Break it down every year, starting going back.
I mean, the first thing that made me want to play music was Black Sabbath.
Nice.
And it was an Aussie record that's all Sabbath songs. The live record, Speak of the Devil, and that I heard that I was like 12 years old, and it just blew my mind.
Nice.
Then if we're fast forwarding a little bit, late teens, early 20s, I got really into Bright Eyes.
Okay.
Conor Oberst, Casadega, and The People's Key. Those 2 records came out, and like The People's Key to me is still one of the like best produced pieces of music. Some of the speaking in between tracks, but and then if I were to jump to lately production wise, the last 2 Bon Iver records I really dug.
Yep.
22 a Million, like I heard that, and production style on it just like blew my mind.
Yep.
Hearing his use of vocoders and stuff, but then also like pitched delays, and he creates this atmosphere where like you feel like you're floating through space while you're listening to it.
That's awesome.
I love that ambient effect artists use a lot. I love playing that kind of stuff. My pedal rig is reflective of that. I have a lot of effects that can achieve that outer space kind of other dimensional kind of feel. I like, not all the time obviously, but I like having that option during, I'm not sure how much you like improvise, if you ever do like improv stuff musically. I'm sure you've dabbled in here.
Yeah, a little bit, not a ton.
Yeah, because sometimes we'll do that on stage. We'll gear more towards the improv side, and like that's so cool. We tend to get a little cosmic, hence the name in the background. So didn't mean to interrupt. I appreciate that ambient effects because that's like right up my alley.
Space, man.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. It makes my head spin just thinking about infinite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, that's gonna be episode 2.
But we had mentioned earlier. I just wanted to bring this up quickly because you had mentioned this. I wanted to see how far we can go with this one topic. But you had mentioned. Well, I had mentioned to you that I noticed you like Grizzly Bear.
Grizzly Bear, yeah, I love them.
Yeah, Steve and I are humongous fans. They're one of the most unique bands I've ever heard. I was just wondering if you have like a favorite album by them.
Man, I love Painted Ruins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really
like,
good.
Lose All Sense.
Yeah,
I love that tune. That tune is so groovy.
Yeah, it was like if I'm not mistaken, it was like one of the more upbeat songs on the record.
Yeah, as upbeat as that record gets.
Right.
Is that track 2 on that?
No, that's in the middle. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like when I woke up today, I was so bound.
Yeah.
Long ago.
Yep.
Man, I love that guy's voice. Both of the lead singers have like such cool and unique voices.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel Rawson, especially, like his voice, like he crawls up my spine or something.
I don't know who I like. I don't know who I like better.
I think I'm a Rawson fan. Ed Ross is a great vocalist, but
he's really good.
Yeah, I remember I saw them at the Wilbur, I think, in Boston. It was either the Wilbur or something smaller. And I was standing out front with a bunch of people. It was when they just released Shields in 2012. My wife and I were standing there, and then this like tour bus was there, and we were just standing there. And then all 4 of them walked by, like right in front of me. And Daniel Rawson was so small.
Yeah, he
was so short. But I was gonna say something. I was gonna be like Daniel, but I was like, what would I say? So they walked by, and I was like, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna embarrass myself. But they put on a great show.
You gotta, man. Like we went to see Desaparecidos. They're one of Conor Oberst's projects. It's like his pop punk protest band, and we saw them at the Paradise. And after the show, we were just standing on the sidewalk outside. Like, what do you want to do? I don't know. All of a sudden, the guitarist Denver Daly walked out, and we were just like, "Hey, man, great set." And he was like, "Oh, thank you so much. What are you guys doing? We're going to the bar. You want to come hang out?"
Oh shit!
Oh man, it's like everybody's dream when he's seen a band. It's just like,
oh yeah,
you just want to bump into him. Hey, do you want to come hang? I'm like, yeah, I want to hang.
It was great. So now, man, and I saw Matthew Logan Vasquez recently, and I regret that I did not have the balls at that time to walk up and be like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?"
Right. It always slips my mind that these are also humans too, and they do human things. So for me to be like, I can't talk to them, what would I say? And it's like, they're just regular people, really.
Yeah.
Drink beer too?
Yeah, right.
What?
The first time I saw Grizzly Bear, they had these like lanterns that were lit up, going up and down the stage, like in the background. It was so psychedelic. It blew when I heard Vegetamist, I think like my whole music, like for a while, like I think everyone goes through this when they're listening to music. I was in like a music slump of like, I don't know what to listen to anymore. I've already destroyed the Beatles in so many ways because I listened to their album so many times, and I was trying to move on to something else. And I heard 2 weeks on the radio. Oh no, on the car commercial for like the Super Bowl or something like that. And I was like, who is this band? And then I heard Vegetamist, and I lost my mind in a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Painted Ruins. What's that song? Glass Hillside.
Oof.
The bridge in that, when their voices are all coming down. Ooh, man, that's just wow.
Yeah.
I hope they didn't break up because I know that they told everyone that they might stop touring, so I don't know.
Yeah, I thought they were on like a hiatus, and sort of some of them have put out stuff, right? Solo stuff.
Yeah, I know Daniel Rawson, like he's like a lazy songwriter. He put out an EP back in 2012, and that was like the last of it. He puts up songs on YouTube that are just called Untitled, and they're amazing. And I messaged him once on Facebook, and I was like, it was kind of rude. I was like, can you start releasing this stuff, please? Like, it would really mean a lot or something. He like saw the message and didn't respond. He's probably like, this guy.
you're trying to Google it, they're all called Untitled. You're like,
Yeah.
damn it, which was the one I really liked?
Exactly. He does it. I think he does it on purpose just to piss people off.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tiny Death, 2018.
2018.
So this is awesome because Steve and I do this thing where we're like, okay, pick the 2 or 3 favorite songs that you like from this album. We do this for every guest.
This was weird. This was weird.
And I said, just pick 2 and I'll pick 2 and we'll just, we both had the exact same 2 songs.
Oh, no shit.
And we were both like, this never happens. We never do, because we want to make it like, so we don't, each other doesn't know. But we both picked Misty, Nebraska and Ghosts.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I was digging in my favorites were Misty, Nebraska, and Ghosts. He's like, that was my 2.
I'm like, I literally have those ones starred on my paper.
Now we're competing.
Yeah, man. I can tell that you put, like you said before, you're sort of a perfectionist. Like, I can tell by listening to this record that, like, you did put a lot of time into that. Every nuance and every sound, it seems fresh. It's crisp. Everything is great on it. But speaking for these 2 tracks alone, like Missing Nebraska is like, it's so folky, and I love folky things.
Right.
And I thought the guitar playing was great and everything, and the harmonies were beautifully blended together. That's always something that I'm getting nervous about, because I'm like, when I'm recording and I'm doing harmonies, like I can never know like how loud this one should be and then this one should be. Is this one blocking this vocal? But you did it beautifully.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, Emily and I, like I said, we tour a lot as a duo. We spend a lot of time together. We practice a lot. That Misty, Nebraska, we actually recorded in the woods live behind the cemetery in my hometown.
Oh, shit.
The studio track was recorded live in the woods like
Yeah.
that? Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We did it. The whole record was recorded. I rented a log house off of Airbnb, and we recorded the bulk of the record in there. And we started recording Misty, Nebraska there. And I had this vision with big production and all these other instruments, and then we started doing it, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right. And I don't know why, but I was just like, I know a spot I want to go to. It's on a river. We're gonna go in the woods, and we're just gonna put up a few mics and do it there.
Dude.
So we went out, we did, I think 4 or 5 takes until we felt like we had one that we both felt good about. And then I spent another day out there just recording birds.
That's awesome.
That's
so you rented the Airbnb just to record the album.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have never thought of doing something like that, because you take yourself out of your life to go take care of this project. And I always get them conflicted, like my life and the album, but that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets tough if you got a family and you have a day job. As a freelancer, it was easy for me, and I was easier for me. I took a week off from playing gigs, just said I'm gonna be in this house, and the band was there for like 2 days. I think the whole band could stay, and then I had people coming in and out. Emily had to work, so she was there for some of it, not all of it. But being able to get that immersive in the project was amazing.
Right.
Now I could do that every record.
Right. Now I can't wait to go back and listen to it again, now knowing that, like,
I know. It's like a whole new perspective.
It's a whole new like environment. There's a movie that came out a couple years ago. It was like this band that went to go record an album, and the guy had like this weird like mask on. It was like a big head. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Frank, yes.
Yeah.
So
good.
That what you just said reminded me of that, of like just being completely isolated and going to record something, and then they have their struggles out there and everything, but that's such a cool idea, and I want to try that now. I just bought a bunch of recording equipment so I can do things on my own, and now I decided I want to go somewhere else. But yeah, that's awesome. Is there any songs on the record that are your favorites, like as personal favorites? Or I know everything's your baby, but
Ghosts is one that I spent a lot of time on, and it was, for me, my goal was to sort of, I had the chorus and I was like, what the hell is this song going to be about with that chorus? And so then it became sort of like this spiritual journey into myself to figure out about like where I sit with spirituality and afterlife, and it became this existential dread song. And I love that one. I love how it evolved. Like I said, I spent a lot of time with it because it came to me in different forms. It was a different song in the beginning, and then I was like getting rid of these lyrics, getting rid of this chorus, rewriting this. I do love that song. I love how chaotic the bridge gets.
Mhm.
It just all builds to get to that chaos. Then if I were to pick another one, it might be The Wheel.
Yeah, very
The
pretty
closing
song.
track.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I was thinking about this earlier. Like something about the end of albums, I tend to gravitate towards. For some reason, I just like dig the endings of like the last stretch of the album. It's a different feel on a lot of that. Like our previous guest, I was telling them like the last song was my favorite on there. So it's funny. Like I tend to lean towards the end of the album for some reason. I don't know why. It's funny. I noticed too on the it's like a a pre-track Unraveling Strand. Was that intended to be part of Ghosts, or is that just meant to be a standalone? Because I felt like that was like an intro to Ghosts.
I love the transitional stuff. Like my new solo record, there's I think 3 songs that sort of a song will end and make its way into something, and you go on this little journey, and then it just dumps you into the next song.
Totally.
I've always been a fan of stuff like that. So that Unraveling Strand, and that little guitar piece right before Backroads, both of those are just sort of meant to be like, I'm gonna get you from point A to point B.
Just to transport you to the next track, kind of.
Yeah.
Very. Do you like Tool at all?
I love Tool.
So that was gonna say that was very Tool. That's a very Tool thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Because they're infamous for those tracks that are like 30 seconds. So like, what is that?
Is it just a baby crying?
Yeah, it's just a baby crying for 30 seconds. Like, what is happening right now? So, and obviously other bands do it, but Tool particularly comes to mind with those like transitional tracks. Like they are just known for that, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely Tool influenced there.
Okay, cool.
Receiving End of Sirens. I don't know if you know them.
I don't know.
They're from Massachusetts, but they were like a new metal band.
Okay.
Years ago, and they're another band. Tons of transitions and stuff. And,
oh, sweet.
I've always liked that sort of storytelling. To me, like putting together the album, which for me they usually end up being like a half hour. Half hour, 40 minutes.
Right.
It's like I look at it as it's all a big piece of art. It's one long story arc. Even though the songs might not be a continual story, I feel like you can string things together in a way that with energy that like moves nice.
Yeah, that's where the art that's where the listener comes into play. That's how I've said it before on this podcast, like the listener is almost 50% of the equation, or the viewer. It's like, of course, like it's it's like, and it's up to the listener to kind of put those pieces together. Because if the songs weren't necessarily meant to be a linear pattern from start to end necessarily, maybe the listener could kind of fill in those gaps. Like, hey, I see some associations here and here. So then you as an artist can actually get more perspective from the listener. It's like, I as an artist, like you can be like, I never even saw it that way before. So that's kind of cool hearing somebody else's perspective too. So that's why I say it's cool to, maybe think of the listener as maybe 50% of the equation too. Cause there is this relationship between artist and listener that creates the whole thing.
Yeah. And I do think it's funny. Like I make all these little soundscape things they never get played live in any means, so it is interesting to think about it that way.
You should do more. You should have maybe a whole album of
just soundscapes,
of just
transitions,
transition tracks. Just call it transition track.
Man,
that's awesome. I don't know if you're familiar with this album, but it's well, let me first start with saying I absolutely despise reissues of albums when they add extra tracks. Because I feel like for the listener, they get a better bang for their buck because they get more tracks, but it's like, it wasn't what the artist intended.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, cause I'm obsessed with albums. I'm obsessed with how they're put together, what the artist was thinking when they decided which song goes last, which one goes first, what songs transition to. I love that stuff. And this is when it first happened to me. I had a Plastic Ono Band, the first John Lennon solo album, when he was going through like all this crazy stuff. And the album is super depressing, and it's sad, and it's raw, and everything about it is just a complete thing, and the last song is called My Mummy's Dead, and it's like a minute of him. It's very like underground type of song. And then I had the reissue and I didn't realize it. So the album ended, and then I like walked away, and then it was like Power to the People, the single that he put out that had nothing to do with this album. And it just, I remember feeling a pain in my specific, I was like 12, feeling a pain in my chest, and I was like, ah. And I knew from that day, I was like, I found out, I was like, I have a reissued album. And I was like, this was not the experience I wanted. And so now I just like, I need to know the very beginning, when it was first released, when the album was, and what the artist intended, and no other extra songs and stuff like that. So
you can hear the profit intentions of the record company.
Oh yeah.
Just trying to get profits out of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Do you like, for me, like I have so much fun after the album's done playing with the track listing.
Hey man, do you need to pause? I noticed you were looking around.
Sorry, yeah, one of my lights, the battery just died, so I'm just trying to.
Oh no, it did. Hey, take your time. Yeah, take your time, man.
How's There we go.
That's not bad. Yeah, like it. That'll work.
Yeah, it's like what was I just saying? I forget.
Oh, talking about extra track
rearranging
profit.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, the fun part for me is when an album's done and you can start like moving the track listing around and seeing what's fun. But I typically know what it's gonna be before I even finish. Does that ever happen to you? Like, you kind of have an idea of where things are gonna go?
Yeah, I think usually it'll happen to me in the tracking process. As we're putting all the things together, I'll start to feel at least like this is the opening track.
Mm-hmm.
This is the end track. I mean, yeah, and then sometimes I'll move things around, but I honestly, like, even this last record I did, maybe I'm just a creature of habit and this is the habit, but the last record that I just recorded, I started writing it and I knew what the first song was going to be right away. I sort of knew some of the transitions. Then some of the transitions just, like, some of the order became apparent because, like, one transition I was working on out of a song ended with the sound where I was just like, oh, that sound is going to go into the next song. That's just what's going to happen.
Yep.
But then there were a few random songs where I was like, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm guessing maybe it's going to go second. And then I think I just put it in that order and was just like, well, that's it.
Yep, exactly. There's one song on Tiny Death that I notated specifically. Do you know the band Tiger Man Woe?
Mm-hmm.
So one of your songs, I felt, it's Oil Drips. I thought it could have been a Tiger Man Woe song, but without them singing it. And I told Steve that, and he was like, I could hear that too. I was just wondering if it was like, I don't know if you knew who they were, but I thought that was kind of funny. Definitely a cool song. I like the bass in that especially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's very rhythmic, very cool.
Yeah, it's like your traditional country thumping.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's a restaurant in Saugus called the Border Cafe. I'm sure it's around. There's multiple, but every time you walk in there, every song is the same. It's like dun, 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 dun. Every song. You can't even tell one from the other. But yeah, I love that kind of music though. It's fun.
Yeah, that one. That's the oldest song on the record, for sure. I wrote that before I knew who Tiger Man Woe was.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was, yeah.
That was no. I didn't think you. Yeah, but.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, I knew it was kind of a coincidental thing, but.
I wrote it, 2009. No, 2008.
Wow.
Oh. So it took 10 years to get on a record.
Yeah, it went out in like some forms. Actually, no, I had a band in LA that I played with, and we put it on a record.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But then, yeah, I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, I feel weird about that. Sometimes Steve will do that. He'll be like, oh, this song that you did in your solo record, let's make it a Cosmic Vulture song. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I can. Is it against the rules?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because you know what? I've heard Radiohead do it with one of their songs. I forget exactly which one, but it's the same song. It's just a little bit different. It's faster on. I think it's on the Bends, and another one on whatever.
Yeah, they do that a lot. I feel like. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with doing different versions. Yeah. You know, I don't know who made this rule. It's like once you release a song, that's it. You are.
Yeah.
You don't touch it.
You know, Dawes or Middle Brother?
No, I don't
So
think so.
Dawes is a band out of California, and Middle Brother is a project with Taylor Goldsmith, the lead singer-songwriter of Dawes, Matthew Logan Vasquez of Delta Spirit, and I think the guy from Deer Tick. But they're in this super group, and they do a Dawes song that's on a Dawes record, and they have their version of it.
That's
I
yeah,
mean,
that's really cool. That's what
yeah.
you know. I think it's fine.
If you go back one record for me, if you go back to the Say Hello EP, there's a totally different version of Backroads.
And that's like,
nice.
Because when we started playing it with the band that's on Tiny Death, like we were playing live together, and we just played it so different than the other version I had done, where I was like, people need to hear this, not that.
Right.
Yeah, because that's the same thing here with one of Derek's solo songs. Like, it's weird. Him and I recorded it in my old apartment. It was on Ableton electronic drums. There was that version, and then he released it on his official solo release. And now I want to do the band version. So there's like 3 versions. I think if they're different enough and they're distinguished from each other, I think there's nothing wrong with having different versions, because there's different perspectives of this. I think
yeah, and I get that.
It's like
cool,
an Easter egg. Yeah, I think it's like
Tool does that.
I don't know.
They did did it with Push It off of Enema. They did when they did that box set. They released a live version of Push It that is totally different up until like the 8-minute mark. Then they go back to the other version.
You're like, 8 minutes. All right, now I know what the song is.
Yeah.
I think George Harrison does that in his first solo album. He has a song called "Isn't It a Pity" version 1, and then the second half of the album is "Isn't It a Pity" version 2. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess I'm just stubborn when it comes to things. For some reason I think there's rules in my head, but apparently there isn't. It's whatever you feel.
Make the rules.
Yeah, right.
There are no rules.
Reconstruct the rules, but
Exactly.
So you said you just recorded a brand new album that's not released yet?
Yeah.
Cool.
The release date is pending.
Gotcha.
I don't know what's going to happen. We've been talking about, we were going to do a European tour we had booked from August to October. Tiny Death was put out, and this next record is going to be put out with a German record label.
Oh, nice.
And we've been going over to Germany. I've been going over since 2013. We've been going as a duo. This would be our 3rd year. And yeah, COVID happened. So now we're looking at potentially doing some type of virtual tour.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Potentially working with some of the venues that we have built relationships with. I don't really know what it's going to look like yet. We're very developmental stages right now.
I feel like music is one of the only things that like people can get away with doing like a virtual tour. Like it would still be cool to hear the songs. We were saying before that like comedians can't do that because they need a crowd to base their stuff off of. Another funny thing I noticed is that I switching the channels, and I know wrestling, the WWE, they are doing their shows with no fans, and it's just guys grunting in the ring, and it's just like it's not the same, and they just keep going like we don't care. And you know what? I just found out too that now they're like, because now that they can edit it because there's no fans, they're like editing the match and like, let's try that move again. And I just found that I read an article because they just had a pay-per-view a couple days ago, and they were like, yeah, this match happened, but they did a couple of takes of this move. And I was like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Kind of cool though, because now you're seeing like it's like a live performance versus like a studio cut. You're getting the studio cut of the wrestling.
Well, because like there's always botches in matches. You can easily botch a move, and it looks bad, and then the fans will eat you alive. But now there's none of that. They just keep retaking
it's just
it.
Perfect execution. Like, whoa, that was technical.
Try that elbow drop. All right, take 17. The guy's like, I can't take this anymore.
Like I hurt everywhere.
I heard they used auto-tune on that suplex.
Exactly.
Oh man, that is so good.
Studio magic right there.
Yeah, but like I said, like we were gonna. I mean, I'm sure every band has thought of this, and but like we were thinking about getting together and just doing like a live show at a basement and putting it on Facebook or whatever. We came up with another idea because we feel like as a local band, sometimes we're just not heard. We're not signed to a label. We don't have a marketing team behind us, so we're like how do we get our music across where people will actually listen to it instead of just promoting it on Facebook and playing shows live, which we can't do. And our drummer had the idea, because we have an EP right now, 5 songs. He's like, what if we just release a song every month along with the music video? Because we always have this discussion where people don't have attention spans nowadays to listen to full-length albums, which makes me angry because I'm an album freak. Or even an EP. Like, you can't listen to 5 songs. Sometimes, you know, what does a listener do? Do they listen to the first 10 seconds of the first song and they go, nope, next one? No, don't like it. Don't like it, so they throw it away. So they gave 10 seconds per 2 songs. That's it. And it's gone. And I'm like, it's tough.
Well, the average listener, you know, I can't remember who it was I was talking with recently, but they were talking about speaking to someone who was in their 20s saying like, oh, who are you listening to? And they were like, I don't know, it's Spotify. And, you know, and I think for a lot of people, that is what music is. There's people like us who end up getting way more involved with music because, like, for whatever reason, I couldn't tell you what it is, but it like hits you in a way and you're just like, this is magic.
Right.
I'm convinced that if magic exists, it's in artwork and music, because
Absolutely.
It makes you feel things that, like, sometimes just a sound can hit you with a feeling. Doesn't have to have words, just a random sound, and it, like, that's magic.
Right. I think the difference too is that, like, you have those people who are like, oh, Spotify is music. Then you have us who are sort of like, we have relationships with bands because we go out and buy their physical copy. And I think that changes the relationship. You know what I mean? It makes it stronger. If I go out and I buy a record from an artist, I'm more likely to buy their next record and their next record because I'm into this band now. But I feel like a lot, like you said, like even people I know are like, oh, I like that one song by that band. I don't even know what it's called, but yeah, I like them. But there's no relationship. There's no connection. There's just that one song I heard on Spotify. So Spotify may be hurting the music industry. I don't want to be the person to just be like, yeah, it is. But in a sense, it is. I mean, it's so easily accessible now. I can go and I can listen to this album as many times as I want. Back in the day, if I lived in the 70s, I'd have to go get my vinyl record and find the song I liked. And it was like much more of a, oh, today I did this. I went and I listened to my record. That's now Spotify is just a part of your background day. You know,
isn't that interesting? It's so interesting to think how inconvenience makes you appreciate music more. Like, you know, back it was so inconvenient to buy records. It really is an inconvenient way to. It is really cool. I collect vinyl myself, but if you think about it, it's very inconvenient. It's so easily damaged. You can nick it. You drop it. Oh, there's a scratch. You know, it's hard.
But not even that. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, you know, you could nick it, it could break. I'm talking about the physically me getting off the couch to go get a record and put it on the thing. Just seems like a lot of work, and that's bad. You know, so I think that's a generation.
When you compare it to literally touching a piece of glass and having a music play, it's way too inconvenient. So it's just, my point is basically like in 70s, 80s, whatever, like you had to go out of your way. You had to get that kind of go through that inconvenient technology back then because you were stuck with it. And like you're stuck with it and you have to listen to it. And that there was no other medium to do. You were kind of stuck with what you had, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I guess it is kind of cool because it makes you really take your time with the music, which is necessary anyway. So it's kind of a side effect with this new, very convenient technology. It's so convenient. You get the music so quickly, but you can just as easily dismiss it just as quickly. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword with this new technology. I think it's really meant for people who appreciate albums and have the discipline to stick on one album at a time. You know, I think that's the.
If a popular artist sold 1 million copies today of their album, I would be like, holy mother of God, that is amazing.
Right. but it's, I mean, I don't know. I will play devil's advocate and say, I think Spotify is a good thing for the music industry, for people like us, because I mean, I generally will find things that I like and artists I like through things like playlists. You know, I'll put on a playlist. I'll put on even just I use Tidal, but whatever, they're all the same thing. But I'll put on, they have a playlist of like new tracks you might be into. And I'll put it on as I'm doing work. And then if a song catches my ear, then next thing I know, I'm sitting down and I'm listening to that artist's whole record,
Dude,
who's an artist I've never heard of before.
Right.
You're 100% right. And that is another thing about Spotify that's amazing is its autoplay. So once an album is finished, I'm sure it's like this on everybody's phone, it just starts to play other songs that are related. And the algorithm it uses is amazing because I always find I discover these new artists all the time, and you're absolutely correct. That is one very good thing about Spotify. It enables you to find artists you would never find.
And if you were in a record store, like I said, decades ago, and you were like, "Oh, I'm going to go buy this record because I like this band," you probably wouldn't be like, I don't know any of these other bands, but I'll just grab 7 and see what happens. I mean, that probably didn't happen that often.
Yeah.
So Spotify corrected that, where now we're discovering all these different artists.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. So there's definitely some pros and cons, but I think overall Spotify is very good. You just have to, there is that, I guess it is more easily for people to dismiss it if they're.
Don't get me wrong, I can't live without Spotify. I was just saying, like, as far because you figure like artists nowadays they make all their money off of what, concerts? I'm assuming more than a record sale. So.
And merch, I think it's been that way for a long time. There was a little bit of a weird period in, the 90s where CDs cost like $20.
Yeah, yep, I remember that too.
All of a sudden. And but other than that, I mean, if you look back, like the beginning of the record industry, artists didn't make anything off of records. They made it all off of going out and playing live.
That's true.
I feel like we're like getting back to that now. And my eyes have been opened to this whole world of house concerts and like small concerts. Like when we tour as a duo, we play all these small rooms and it's very grassroots, but it's beautiful and it's like very intimate and we really get to know people. And
I saw a picture of you. I think it was, I don't know, I couldn't tell if it was the both of you, but I remember, I think it was you playing guitar and there was like people around you like in a circle. A picture you posted and I was like, that's so cool. It looked like a house almost. I wasn't sure if it was a house show.
Oh, it might have been a house show or it might have been, we had a video come out recently from a Sofar that we played in Amsterdam. We do a lot of Sofar concerts. And those, I think the biggest ones that we've played have been 60 people. But usually, they're 40 to 50 people in like a small room somewhere.
Right.
And I think it lends itself to a platform to get to know people and actually build real relationships. Which, looking at like a grassroots effort, it's like this cool new model that when I was playing in a new metal band as a kid, like that didn't exist because we were so loud.
Right. Yeah, that's so cool though, man. Cause like, even when we play venues and stuff, I don't know what it is about me specifically, but like after a show, number one, I'm sweating my brains out. So I don't want to go near anybody. I need to go in the bathroom and like clean myself up. But like when people come up to me and like, oh, great job. I'm always like, thank you. And I walk away and I never stop and say like, oh, thanks. Like, come over here. We have this thing on sale, like our CD, I never like, either I'm embarrassed, I'm shy, I don't know what it is, but it's always a part of me that just wants to go and like get water and just be alone. And that's complete opposite of what I need to do.
I mean, performing takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
You go through this whole emotional experience where like every song you play, you're going through a wave of emotion of whatever you were when you wrote the song. And it like playing a bunch of them in succession, you're like going through all of these different things that you've been through in your life,
Right.
And yeah, I mean, immediately after I definitely like to take some space, but I love people, man. I love getting to know people and trying to wrap my head around as many different perspectives exist in this world as I can while I'm here.
Absolutely. That's incredible, man.
And that's like the point of these. It's like really just, it is obviously you're putting your music out there, but it is just as much a social networking thing as well. Like a real life social networking thing. And that's like half the battle right there, making connections, making that eye to eye handshake and all that good stuff. It's way better than a algorithm you can just pay to have people click on your video. It's like, it is a whole way better to do that.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can get all the likes you want online, but it's a different story when you go to play shows, and I think a lot of it depends on how personable you are. Personable? That's not a word. person. Yeah, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what though. Steve. This is something that we've noticed is that we've met a lot of artists when we went to go play. Like we'd be on a show with 3 other bands, and we get along and everything would be fine. But there was no like. I met a couple of people who are now my friends from those shows, but we met more people being quarantined and doing this podcast we've ever met. I never would have met you if Facebook didn't tell me, hey, add Nico on Facebook. I wouldn't have known you. So I am glad for the other side of it as well. The networking on social media is helping, as well.
It's weird. We're getting to know people better that we've met in real life.
Yeah, we met a band in real life. We played a show with them. We didn't talk. I got the lead singer on here, and now we're like, it was awesome. I didn't even know, but
it's crazy, man.
It is weird.
Because when you're at the show, sometimes you don't get a chance maybe to shoot the shit or whatever.
Right.
So this online thing is such a cool way to further interact with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shows are always wicked loud too.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. And everyone's just it's chaos. So it's just a mess.
For sure. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions that you're going to be annoyed at, I'm sure, because everyone usually is. And these questions are just for like the now. I know you'll probably change your mind tomorrow and the next day because everybody would. But in the moment, if you could open for any band or artist in the history of music, the show would be you opening and then this artist playing after you, and that's the whole night. One special night that you get to choose. What do you think it would be?
Any artist
ever.
See, this is tough because now I'm like, do I pick an artist I just want to hang out with?
Well, no, okay, so I will tell you this. The second question has more to do with hanging out, so maybe just musically.
Okay, just musically. Man, I would love to open for Bright Eyes if that were ever a possibility.
That'd be awesome. I when you had mentioned Bright Eyes, I kind of felt like there were some influences that I heard, not specifically Bright Eyes when I heard you, but now that you'd mentioned them, I could hear like the connection of the two, you and them. That's like a really cool thing. They released an album, I think. My timeline's probably way off. I think the last album they released was like really like everybody was going crazy over it. I don't remember if this. What was it again?
The People's Key was the last full record they did.
I don't know if that was it. It was definitely a couple of years ago, 1 and 2 years ago, I think. And I remember everybody I knew was like, "This is the perfect record," and everyone was going crazy over it.
All right, do you mean Better Oblivion Community Center? Connor's like been doing a bunch of different stuff. He did this record with Phoebe Bridgers, Better Oblivion Community Center, which is awesome. It's a great record. But People's Key was the last Bright Eyes album. They just put out a couple of songs this year.
Okay.
People's Key, I think, was 2009.
Okay, maybe my timeline's way off, but I remember one of the most recent ones was really popular. I'll have to check it again. But this next question is more of the hangout, and this is maybe more difficult, but it's if you could have dinner with any 3 people in the history, just not even music, just anything you want. Just, it's you and these 3 people to dinner, and it's just, I guess this is more of a hangout question, but it doesn't have to be music.
Historical figures, musicians.
Yeah. We've had some wild answers in the past. Wild answers.
Man, that's a tough question.
And like every time I say this, I say, I'm so glad no one's asking me this because I still don't have my answer.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just don't know.
Yeah, man, that's a really tough question.
Or just some people you think on the top of your head you would be cool to hang out with and have dinner.
Yeah, I mean, Slash would have to be there.
With the hat? You had
with
to have
the hat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I want Slash. I don't want Saul. I want Slash.
I want the waiter to come over and be like, "Sir, can you take that off? You're being really disrespectful to the restaurant."
And see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
He's probably super polite and like, "Yeah, no problem."
Oh yeah, my fault.
I was gonna get like all heady with it and be like, Buddha, but but now that I've gone with Slash, I mean, I'm just gonna make it a party. So I'd want to get Slash.
You can party with Buddha.
I mean,
you would be down with
sure.
I feel like he's
moment.
Pretty quiet.
He's like, I'm all about living in the moment, man. Who do you think Buddhism is?
After an hour of not talking, he's like, no, I'm having a good time.
Exactly. Buddha, are you okay?
I'm just listening.
I've reached Nirvana.
I'll go Slash. let's get it. David Lynch.
No, man. Here we go.
And,
Yes.
Maybe Hannibal Buress.
Nice.
Oh,
that
okay. Just having dinner with him alone is enough.
I love him.
To have a party. Yeah, he's hilarious.
I feel like the two of us would get along pretty well.
Oh yeah,
I can see that for sure. He's
The weed
hilarious.
would bring us together.
That's a good dinner right there. Solid dinner.
In the past we've had some like wacky answers. Like somebody was like Aleister Crowley.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh man, like that. You wouldn't need other people at the dinner at that point. Like you just him. You don't need anyone else because you'd have a whole.
You have a whole
night.
Table of demons and vortexes to the right.
And then I think the same person was like, yeah. He's like, they were like, yeah. And then Jimmy Page, and I'm like, but see, now that would be. You wouldn't even be in the conversation. They would just be talking the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
He bought his house, whatever. But yeah, crazy thing. But
Aleister Crowley would be a great person to be able to just pick their brain.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man,
Hunter
I've
S.
seen so many
Thompson.
documentaries about him. Oh, Hunter S. Thompson and Aleister Crowley, right now, and now we're putting together a crazy night.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Who'll be that? Who'll be the third in that group?
Who'll be the third? Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
You need some comic relief.
I'll throw Jim Carrey in there just to make it really wacky. Give Jim Carrey some speed.
Nice.
plot twist. Jim Carrey's super dark the whole time. He's like,
or Robin Williams on like, just give him something.
You get Robin Williams from Insomnia, though.
Oh yeah, that guy. I wish he
Probably.
played more villains. I think 1 Hour Photo was like villainy, but like Insomnia, he was a baddie.
He's so creepy.
Yeah, he could play a good creep.
oh yeah, that was convincing for sure.
But is it just because for our entire childhood he was like the good guy?
Yeah, I feel
Probably.
like when he died, like I know everyone has a different generation. Like who was the big person who died when you were alive? You know, Robin Williams for me, like that was it. Like I feel like it was like my lost long uncle, who died because like we grew up watching his movies and it just like it hurt. And then my wife, her name is Gia, and like we were watching the movie Jack, and at the end of the movie Jack, it was like dedicated to my love Gia or something like that, and she started bawling her eyes out because he had just died. And she was like, "No." We did a whole Robin Williams marathon, and we were just like crying on the couch all day because it was like, it's still, what was it, 7 years ago now? It still stings.
Yeah.
Oy.
He was great.
We're all just like,
We're like,
for the next 5 minutes. But yeah, man, thanks so much for doing this, man. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I met you. And
nice meeting you. This was a lot of fun.
And experience your music, and I can't wait to listen to the rest of your music because I've only actually sat down and listened to this, but I can't wait to hear your future, your past. Now and hopefully someday I can come out and see you. I'd love to see you live. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah,
Amsterdam would be fun. I'd like to go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, man. I don't know if we'll go back. It was really expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
Imagine.
It was beautiful. We got to play on a roof, sunny day.
Oh, no way.
It's amazing.
Beautiful city. Tough city to play music in. Parking alone.
Really?
We spent 36 euros to park for 5 hours.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. Well, I'll let you guys know we were just down here shooting a video that we're working on for our new project.
Oh, cool. Hey, sorry, go ahead.
The group's called Gold Hoax. And we're going to be releasing a video somewhat soon. We've been doing a quarantine video because we can't hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's filming and recording their stuff at home. So it'll be like an acoustic version of a tune.
Yeah, we just did a music video like that where we're all separately in our houses and we just splice it together as if we're all together. But
nice.
yeah, so if any links you want me, just send me anything you want me to post because I'd love, like when I make the post, I want to just put out everything that you have.
Whatever you want to promote, send it our way. We'll include it in the post so we can get your stuff out there.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. We appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun, and maybe next new stuff coming out. Come back. Feel free if you want to come back on. Maybe like in a month.
Yeah, I'd love to chat again. Yeah,
we'll do it again.
Sure. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thanks, man. Take care.
See you guys.
See you, man.
See ya.
Yep.
see, it's the only crutch that you have on me. The hog in the house with all his rats. We bite our thumbs and never tip our hats.